And now time has come for us to look at COVID-19 concerts and festivals. And now concerts and festivals, as we have known them, have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic that has continued to persist. We have seen various artists from all over the country and all over the world, managers and promoters getting creative, even with electrifying performances amid the pandemic. Now tonight, we will be speaking to Agundabweni Akweyu, co-founder and CEO at Bwenieve Records and organizer and CEO at Praise Atmosphere, an annual family music experience that brings together gospel music, praise and worship artists from across the African continent. Let's get to hear how artists and organizers have been and continue to adapt to the drastic change in the entertainment scene. Bwana Agundabweni Akweyu, if you can hear me, how are you today?
Fine, thank you. You can hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you well. Looking good in your studio. You're talking to us from Bwenieve Records. It's good to see you.
You're looking good too. Thank you, Martin and KUTV, for this opportunity.
All right, thank you, sir. Now, let's begin with you introducing yourself. I have said a couple of things about you. Tell us a bit about yourself and what you have been doing, even in this particular time that has been termed tricky for artists and managers and promoters and producers like yourself.
Yes, my name is Agundabweni Akweyu, as you said. I am a music producer, founder of Bwenieve Production and Praise Atmosphere. I am a husband who is married to a wife that is a woman. Yes, I don't know if I've forgotten any other thing. Yes.
Amazing, amazing. Just before we go very far, we know you for Bwenieve Records and lately Praise Atmosphere from a couple of years now. And before we go very far, I want us to focus on what has been happening with Praise Atmosphere. My director, if you're ready. Okay, we shall be looking at that in a few minutes. But first of all, now when it came to organizing the Praise Atmosphere event last year, did you experience a number of challenges compared to the previous years, 2019, 2018, where we had artists coming from different regions? How different was the Praise Atmosphere event in 2020, or what people would term the COVID-19 year?
Yeah, actually, it was a very challenging one. We were almost giving up of not doing it, but thank God for passion and good friends and people that love what we're doing. They really encouraged us, and we found ourselves ready to do it. Yeah, as you can say, as you just said, it was very hard for us having artists from different countries because of travel restrictions due to COVID. And at the same time, at home, we couldn't meet because of restrictions we had. But we had to go on and do it the COVID way.
And now that you are doing it the COVID way, in the previous years we have seen the likes of Mkululi Bebe and Zaza coming to perform in this particular event. Artists from various parts of the continent, but of course, as you have said, due to the restrictions, these artists were not able to show up for the event. That means for 2020 we had to have it was an all Kenyan act, Praise Atmosphere. Did you see some Kenyans turn you down for the fear of COVID-19? Everybody you spoke to was just up to the idea?
Actually, 2020, we managed to bring in some few artists from Tanzania. There's a group from Tanzania that came. And then we also had Kenyans that were part of it. Something interesting, most Kenyan musicians that we approached, they were ready to do it. None of them was scared. Same to the foreigners that came from Tanzania. They were very much willing to just do it. Yes, we did have a challenge on that.
Definitely, artists from Tanzania would not be scared because as we know, I don't need to say it.
The only challenge we had, it was just for them to cross over the border. It took a lot of time.
Okay.
Because of the restrictions and testing, a lot of things. A lot of things that we could not even. We pray that those things will end.
All right. Now, before we go very far, I hope my director is ready now. We want to talk about the absence of people in terms of audience. You're going to be telling us if you had audience, but depending on the sources we have, we didn't see much of audience. We just saw the performances in 2020. First of all, let's take a look at what happened in 2019 in one of the pieces of this particular event. Take a look.
Wow.
Wanafurahisha moyo wangu, ninayo sababu ya kuimba. Pumzi umenipa, furaha ukanipa, dhambi zangu kaondoa. Wanafurahisha moyo wangu, ninayo sababu ya kuimba. Pumzi umenipa, furaha ukanipa, dhambi zangu kaondoa. Ndio maana nasema Yesu amenibariki, Yesu ameniinua, nikiwa naye moyoni sitaogopa kamwe. Yesu amenibariki, Yesu ameniinua.
Now, that was 2019. Now, let's take a look at 2020. Have a look.
Wherever you are, come on, put your hands high for Jesus. Come on, raise your hands high for Jesus. He's a mighty warrior, strong in battle. He fights our battles. When things are tough, he fights our battles. He is the Prince of Peace. Hallelujah. Hakuna Mungu kama wewe, hakuna popote, hakuna Mungu kama wewe.
All right, that was 2020. Mr. Agundabweni Akweyu, if you're still there.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Now, these are two different years. We didn't expect 2020 to go as it went, especially from mid-March. And we noticed there, we don't have audience when it comes to 2020, as expected due to the COVID-19 restrictions. How did you handle the absence of, let me just go straight to the point and just name it, money from, the entrance fee that, the audience brings, and how did this affect the whole production?
Yeah, as you can see, everything's reduced. The number of musicians we have, even the band, we had to scale down to what, according to the budget we had. Then about the ticketing, of course, without audience, that means there's no ticketing. And for the based on the last experience you've been having, it's always good to prepare for an event minus the ticketing money, because in case of anything, you're supposed to refund tickets. I mean, the money, the ticket money to people. So it's always good to do event minus the ticket money. That one you're safe. Yes. So for us, that one helped us. Has been helping us a lot.
Definitely. Using money that doesn't come from the audience. Now, in the past, we have seen your event, Praise Atmosphere, being sponsored by a number of companies and entities. Now, did you have some of the companies and some of the sponsors that you had pulling out because they were probably targeting the thousands of people that come to your concert? Did you have some people pulling out and saying, now we won't have thousands of people coming, so we cannot pour our money into this project?
Maybe, but for the few that we spoke to, what they told us was the budget has been affected by the COVID. So most companies could not afford, because as you know, 2020, most businesses are not well. So that means most companies are not making good money. And so they could not afford even just to help us the way they usually do, apart from a few that came on board.
All right. And as you
Yes.
continue to look at what and how Praise Atmosphere is coping with these particular times and moving forward, the big question is, and of course looking at a number of artists and groups of musicians that have come in the scenes from time to time. You guys have rebranded yourself very well with the COVID-19 pandemic and ensured that the message is out there, message of hope that was actually needed at this time much more than ever. Now, what would your advice be as a promoter, as a manager, as a producer to an artist out there in whatever field of art they're in terms of how they can brand themselves first and be known out there, then keep rebranding with the changes that come into the scene?
First of all, they need to understand their content. They need to understand if they're musicians or actors. They need to understand the kind of content they're giving out to their consumers. The moment they understand that and connect to it, then the next thing they need to know, how do consumers love what they're doing? If the consumers doesn't love what they're doing, they need to change, and they can only do that by first of all seeking a lot of knowledge. They have to do a lot of research, find out about it's nowadays very easy to know because of internet. Everything is on internet. You can Google about your consumers, about your content, about your line of professionalism, and then the next thing they should understand also about rebranding. They have to go with time. Things nowadays art is very dynamic. It keeps on changing, and you can't operate in a traditional way of doing things. You have to go with time. Art is very dynamic. The way we were doing things in 2012 is not the way we're doing it right now. And the way we did things in 2019, 2020 is not what we are doing right now. So one has to always seek knowledge in your field and observe what is happening around the world and how to diversify and suit into that.
Amazing, amazing. Yes. And finally, now as we look at this particular scene, that is the music scene, you're already known for both studio recordings and live recordings. What would you say the future is now that we're seeing a number of Kenyan artists, purposing to do live recordings and do everything in one space after rehearsals as opposed to recording pieces in the studio? What would you say the future is comparing studio recordings and live, concerts recording?
Actually, with or without COVID, live music was the thing now that was coming. And any artist that was ready for that, they survived well in 2020. And those that are not ready, that are not prepared up to now, they should try it and change and try and see how they can venture into that live scene, because that's where the future is. Nowadays, people are no longer buying CDs the way they used to buy. Remember those CDs we used to put in our cars or DVD players? Within a year, they just change and vanish. So people are doing more of streaming. And these things started happening a long time ago in developed countries. For us, actually, in Africa, we think it's new, but people have been doing that. People have been doing that, and it's good we prepare ourselves for that and just go with that.
Yes.
And for studio production, it's still there. It's not going anywhere. Also, it's still there, but in a different way. We will see more of virtual concerts, virtual events. Virtual events they're not leaving. They're not going anywhere. They're here to stay.
And talking about
without COVID.
All right. And talking about virtual events now, as we wind up this conversation, now tell us, as you also tell us where people can get you, because someone will be watching and wanting to be mentored in one way or the other. You can tell them where they need to find you. As you tell us, how do artists make money, even as they entertain the people virtually?
I mentioned about streaming. They have to optimize on streaming, and then also have to talk to companies. And there are people out there that are willing to support. Apart from companies, they have to reach out to some friends. Like for Praise Atmosphere, actually some friends came on board just to help. There are people who have money with or without COVID. So you just need to talk about what you're doing, and people will run with your vision. Yes.
Thank you so much, Agundabweni Akweyu, for joining us tonight on KU, staying tuned and having to be informed by us. Now, many of you might be wondering what Mutegi K, Martin, and Elias Terito will be dancing this Friday. There's a simple dance we dance in church that goes something like this. My chair is swinging. I will not be able to do it, but you're going to be seeing it in this particular song by Evelyn Wanjiru, courtesy of Praise Atmosphere. Dominic Kaigori, my director, cheza kama wewe.